Vegas, right? The people want to know, man, why haven't Tupac murder been solved, man? I mean, it was a fight weekend, a Mike Tyson fight weekend. A whole lot of people was out. A whole lot of videotaping was going on. I mean, the people want to know, man, why haven't his murder been solved?
Let's start with the cameras, and a lot of younger people don't even know this, but there were no cell phone cameras then, none. If for somebody to have and you know what, there was some film pictures taken by passerbys, but not while Tupac was still there. They were taken afterwards. So there are some crime scene pics, but nothing with Tupac in it. Police body cams were still 20 years away. I mean, that wasn't even a thought yet. There are a lot of cameras in Vegas, but uh, less than there are now. I mean, now yeah, it was kind of a big deal to set up a camera. We didn't have cameras just like out on the street, just like filming an intersection. I mean, there was none of that. Cameras were like when people say there's cameras everywhere in Vegas, especially, we're talking 27 years ago, you're talking about in the casinos, on the card tables, they want to make sure their money's not getting stolen. They want to make sure people aren't cheating. There's usually, not always, usually camera in the elevator or maybe a shot down the hall, but not even always, not even always then. So, uh, so you don't get the camera evidence that certainly you would have now. I mean, if this whole thing went down today, it'd be a completely different deal because there'd be 100 cell phones out there with film. There'd probably be some, I said film, I guess that's outdated. 100 cell phones with pics, videos. There'd be more stuff from the hotels. The camera systems are way better now. There would have been video something for sure. Here's the other problem is that so you got his entourage of, 8, 9 guys, whatever it was. That night, nobody saw anything. They were playing it that way. Nope, didn't see a thing. It was like, well, all you guys were right there. Yeah, but we didn't see nothing. And a couple of them even came out and said, we take care of this stuff ourselves. There was a code. I guess there still is a code, but even back then it was stronger that you don't talk to the police. You don't give them any information. It's like, and I think, Tupac pretty much lived by that. And I think the code was stronger then than it is now. I mean, these guys roll over on each other now if they can get $5 out of the deal. They talk like they're brothers to the end, but when it comes, all of a sudden somebody's got to do some jail time or there's money involved or something like that. Yeah, that the brotherhood disappears real quick. But I think I think it was stronger then, and a lot of those guys went by that code. You just didn't talk to the police. I mean, if it was uh, for me, if it was somebody that harmed me or you know one of my friends or loved ones or something, I mean, I'm talking. I'll tell them everything I can tell. But that's just me. Now, I will say this: as far as like having the code where we take care of this ourselves, I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I certainly don't think that was appropriate for them to do that, but I get it. Um, they want to take care of themselves. And another thing that came up was so those guys went that route. They went the work taking care of it ourselves route. Okay, that's fine. You've made that choice, but don't come back 10 years later and say the cops wouldn't help us because that's not the case. We're trying to help them. They didn't want the help. They wouldn't, they didn't want to say anything. They didn't want to play along. When Suge came down for his interview to Homicide the next day, he brought with him 3 attorneys to be interviewed. Now, mind you, he's not even a suspect. I don't know what he's thinking. I think he's just personally, I think he's just showing off. Oh, you're going to call me down here? Okay, well, I'm bringing 3 attorneys. It's like, dude, we're just looking for information. You don't need attorneys. But we didn't get any help. We didn't get any help from the people who saw what happened. And that was the main obstacle. Drive-by shootings themselves, by their nature, tend to leave very little physical evidence. because that evidence usually drives away in the cars after it happens. So, like I said, the one good piece of evidence we have is we have those bullets that were in Tupac, and other than that, for physical evidence, there's not a lot there.
To go back to Suge Knight, because I know you said y'all interviewed him. What did he say in his interview? What was his response?
He was just, Mr. Attitude. I didn't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. I got nothing to say. Really, was his take on the whole thing. So he was zero help, and there's no way that he didn't see something. I think if there's anybody alive on this planet who knows who that shooter is for absolute positive, it's Suge Knight. But he's certainly not going to be any help at this point. And he's already named 10 different people who he says did it, so it doesn't even matter. And that's the guy that could have wrapped this thing up.